Now in the last video we had built the papers and had laid these design elements and our cluster around on the papers to start the basis of our layout. Now in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a few more of ScrapPage's features, and what I'm going to do wind up is building a quick page that you could use again and again for your various projects that you might want to do with photos of your kids or anybody else. I'm making this a sports page so it'd be more appropriate for any athletes in your family. So what I'm going to begin with is, recall we didn't do any shadowing on these elements, and we probably should just to make them pop a little bit. So I'm going to move this guy a little bit away from the edge there, and I'm going to give him a shadow of about a 3 maybe, and fairly strong, just so I can say that yeah, it's jumping off the page. And we'll give the same one here. We can do that simply by match, and match just to the style of the previous. Okay, so if we got this and then we go over here and we matched the way we did, that's all you do is you go up here and tell it I want to match to the style of the previous, and that gave it its shadow. Now these elements down here, the rope is kind of close to the paper, so I think what I'd only do is maybe a 2 on that and give it something in the the 100 range somewhere to make it look like it stands off a little bit. This one I might give it just a little bit more, maybe take it up to a 4 on its width, and density say around 100 still. Something like that, just to make it pop. And the same way with this guy here, maybe give it up to around a 5 and keep it relatively soft, right? So there, now we've got the thing shadowed. Now one other thing you can do, you can always add more and more of these elements to your paper for interest. For example, let's do something real interesting here. I'm going to add a color panel. And what I'm going to do with this color panel is I'm going to texturize it. So I think first I'm just going to go in here and I'm going to set it to a color. Let's set it to a color that's very similar to what we used before, that gun barrel. Okay. So there we got that. Now on top of this, what I think I want to do is I'm going to add a texture. And I'll go back again this time and I'll get another one of Karen's textures. We'll go back up here to my Snickerdoodle textures folder, and in here under textures, let's this time pick, it doesn't matter, let's pick this one. Okay, so we pick this and we'll texturize using that. Okay, so fine, now we've texturized that. Now what am I going to do with this thing? Well, one of the interesting things that ScrapPage has is I can take this picture now and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do a cutout on it. And the cutout I'm going to do is being done using a mask, and there are a number of built-in masks in Photoshop. This one here is a torn edge that I'll put on here. Now where you see the light, that's what's going to show. Where you see the dark, that's what's going to get cut out. So if I put this about like that and I tell it, I don't want to do that, I want to tell it to apply, and I apply that, I just cut that paper out. Now I can take that paper and I can set it over here. I can blow it up in size so it fits where I want. If I want to rotate it, I can. I can give it just a slight rotation, might help to make it look a little more appealing. So we'll set it there. And I think what I'm also going to do, of course, is I'm going to shadow it because I want to make it look like it has a sharp edge there. Maybe give it a 2 and a fairly dense shadow. So there, it looks like it's sort of sitting off the page. Maybe even a little more shadow than that. I'll go ahead and punch that up pretty strong. Okay, so now it looks like a nice little shadowed page there, but it's sitting on top of everything. I don't really want it there, so I'm going to just take it, select it, and then I'm going to reorder its layers by sending it back one at a time. There it went behind the daisy down at the bottom. There it went behind that twig branch there, and I just want to keep going back until it falls behind the frame like that. All right, so now there, we're going to leave it back there like that. We've got all these things shadowed still. Everything seems to be in place. What I might want to do next is I might say, okay, I want to be able to put down some kind of text on this, something that's descriptive. Maybe I'll add a text box. Now I know I've never done one of these before, so I'm going to show you real quick how this works. You want the text that you want, you just type it in here. So let's say All-Star, and I want it to be 2 lines, so I don't have a lot of room up there in the corner. So I'll tell it I want the font to be, let's pick this font, and we'll move it over here someplace like this, and we'll rotate it into place. And in order for it to fit nicely, I'm going to raise its size to, I don't know, somewhere around. You can auto size it, or you can select your own, but sometimes selecting your own gives you a little more latitude. And in there, now I'm going to pick a color for it, and I'll pick something that's in this sort of yellow-green kind of hue that we have here. Something about like that, let's say. And in order to make it really stand off the page, I'm going to give it a sharp shadow, something maybe a 2 and fairly strong, something like that. Okay, so there, now I've got my text that I want up there in the corner. I might even do another one down here and say that I'm going to name, not a picture, I want to do another text, and I'll just name this one for my daughter, and I'll say this is going to be for Sarah. All right, again, I'll move this down here, lower this down in here someplace, and this one I'll auto size and make it so that it fits there nicely, and we'll give it the same color as that one. And we do that by simply going in here and telling it, hey, I want to match that style. And there, now it just did that. Okay, so Sarah's name's down here. And now we're ready to either drop photos behind these frames, which I could do real simply. As you know, I could just bring in a picture. In my ScrapPage or scrapping class thing here, I have some pictures, and down here I have, let's just pick one just for openers here, and I could bring in this picture, I could move it over here, and I could continue to move this picture back until it fell behind that aperture. And in the same way as I always do, by back one, back one, back one, until it eventually falls behind that frame. Okay, so there, that would put that picture behind there. I could center it and resize it however I wanted. All right, or, and I think this is what I'll do now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete that object, and I'll show you what else I want to do. I'm going to bring in, instead of a picture, I'm going to bring in a color panel. Now, color panels can have two things that they do in ScrapPage. One of them is simply to act as a holder, a placeholder, or make a color panel that you could texturize or anything else. But the other thing you can do with them is if you bring them in and you turn them completely black, like so, and we now set this thing to be what I call a cutout layer. All right, this big green or lime green X that forms on the panel itself tells you that it has a special purpose now, and it's going to act as an aperture cutter, so to speak. Now, I don't want it to cut there, because now if I did, it'd be cutting out all sorts of things that are in my element or my page design. It would be cutting into the denim here. It'd be slightly cutting into my cluster, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to, again, move this guy back. I'm going to reorder it back until it falls behind that denim frame. So however many clicks of this back one it takes, and there it is. Now it's behind there. Okay, so it's hiding this torn paper, but it is now behind the denim frame and behind the cluster. Okay, again, I'll add another one, another color panel. I'm going to turn it black right away. And when I do, then I'm going to move it over here, rotate it so that it fills slightly bigger than that aperture, but not bigger than the outside, or slightly bigger than that frame, but not bigger than the outside. We just want to cover the aperture of that frame. And again, I'll turn this thing into a cutout layer. And as before, I'm just going to move this thing back until it eventually falls behind that frame. And there it is behind that frame. Okay, so now you can see what we have is we have all of our design elements in place, and we've got these two cutout layers that are sitting here just waiting to make apertures so that we could make this thing into a quick page. That is a page that could be used again and again, of course. So the way you do that in ScrapPage to turn it into a quick page is you just go up here to Tools and you say Apply the Cutouts. So there's a lot of computations that go on to make this happen. So it's going to take a few seconds here for it to do all the machinations that have to happen to turn this into a quick page. But in a short order here, and you're not doing anything, by the way, while this is going on. It's just computing, and now that it has it, it's going to load it, and there's your quick page. You could then go here to save this as a ping, in which case you would have a reusable Quickpage you could use again and again and again. That is if you weren't certain what pictures you were going to put under here. Or now you could simply, as before, just go in here and I'll grab both of those pictures of my daughter as she was younger playing soccer. And we'll bring them in, and let's say we put this one over here and this one over here. So we'll rotate this one, set it here, and we'll send it to the back. Not bring to the front, let's send it to the back. And we'll move it so that she fits there nicely. And let's say that looks pretty good. And then we'll take this one and rotate it around to match up with that. A little bit more rotation maybe. And we'll send it to the back. And we'll move her down until she just fits in there. And there, just like that, we've used it. At this point now, we could go over here and we would want to go ahead and save this as a JPEG probably. If you do that, ScrapPage gives you the option of saving as a full size, half size, third size, quarter size, or sixth size. These might work out nicely. That's a 200, or if this thing was a 3600 by 3600, 1/3 size would be kind of a nice size for Facebook. It's a 1200 by 1200. Or you could use this one too at a quarter. That would be a 900 by 900. Either of those would work fine for Facebook. If you were posting it to a blog, you might go down to a 1/6 size. If you're putting it on Pinterest or maybe onto a sharing site somewhere that they want things on the order of 600 by 600, well, that's what you would get if you did a 1/6 by 1/6 reduction when you saved your JPEG. So anyway, that's basically how you would use ScrapPage and to build a very nice looking layout, starting with nothing except a few design elements and a nice kit that you could pick up from Snickerdoodle, and using the features of ScrapPage to build yourself a nice layout and turn it, if you so choose, into a quick page that you could use again and again. So that's the end of this series on the basics of how you would use ScrapPage to do scrapbooking. Until then, later on, when I come up with some other videos that I think I want to make, there's many more features to ScrapPage than this. But until then, what I'm going to do is sign off here, and happy scrapping. This is Dave. Bye.